Officially, the tension inside the hip-hop and love circles has burst, and it goes beyond simply throwing shade at the camera this time. This type of scenario seems too unpolished to be contrived. Behind the scenes, whispers have been circulating, and now they've erupted into a conflict that no one anticipated. According to reports, Mendeecees approached Ciara directly during an off-camera time following her startling assertion that it's possible that Yandy is concealing a child who is related to another actor. Emotions were running high, and the room fell silent. Never one to back down, Ciara insisted that she had receipts and stood by her statement. The ensemble watched in shock as Yandy, caught in the midst, was clearly shaken. The atmosphere was explosive, according to insiders. Security is rushing in, people are yelling, and producers are frantically trying to decide what will even air. Fans are in disbelief, wondering if Ciara truly touched a nerve too deep for TV or if this is just another marketing gimmick. There's no denying that the Men's and Ciara matchup has taken the season to new heights, and that the fallout could be greater than anyone anticipated. Long before anyone spoke, there had been soft murmurs throughout the night, but the atmosphere broke, like glass under pressure, when Mendeecees finally confronted Ciara about the baby accusation. Raw emotion was leaking out in all directions. There was no music or pre-written statement to diffuse the strain. According to insiders, the room became so quiet that even the cameras appeared scared to continue filming. Mendeecees and Ciara locked eyes, and his normally cool, collected speech took on a piercing quality that chilled everyone in the vicinity. He questioned her about why she would target his family when she was aware of how hard they had struggled to remain together, and why she would dare to propagate such rumors. Never one to fold, Ciara squared her shoulders and resisted giving in when pressed. She maintained that she wasn't the only one speaking, that discussions had been taking place off camera for months, and that she was just the first to express it out. No one was able to wave away the words secret child, which hung in the air like smoke. Cast members shuffled uneasily, uncertain whether to step in or remain back, their gazes flitting between Ciara, who appeared intent on doubling down on her, and Yandy, who was shivering in her seat. Assertions. "You act as though I'm making things up. But people know," Ciara yelled, her voice brimming with defiance. "Whispering has been going on. Furthermore, if you believe that I am the only person who is aware of this, you are deceiving yourself." The charge shook the group, and Yandy's hands gripped together as she tried to explain herself, telling everyone that she had always stuck by her marriage and that she had given up her personal peace to keep her family safe. However, her words didn't. The tension was unbearable, and insiders said that producers were panicking, whispering to each other about whether they should cut the feed or let it roll, knowing that this kind of drama could send ratings soaring. However, security hesitated, knowing that stepping in too soon might only make the situation spiral further out of control. Ciara interrupted her right away, demanding to know why Yandy always got so defensive whenever Mendeecees' name came up in rumors. People shouted, voices overlapped, and in the midst of all of this, Mendeecees' expression hardened as if he had reached his breaking point. "You don't bring my family into this," he warned, his voice rising above the chaos. Fans who later saw leaked snippets online were shocked by what they saw. The clip was grainy, but it was clear that Ciara was waving her phone in the air, claiming she had proof. "No matter what problem you're having, you take care of it, but don't bring my children into your mess." Ciara grinned, not to be intimidated. "Then why are people saying things you don't want to hear?" she said. "Perhaps what you're trying to conceal is the issue, rather than me." That was the line that caused the room to erupt in sound. Members in the cast gasped. Others raced to console Yandy, who was clearly crying, while others moved forward to hold Mendeecees back as he appeared ready to lash out. According to insiders, she repeatedly stated that none of it was real, her voice quivering as her eyes filled with tears. She claimed that the level was unbelievable, of disdain that her children were being forced into headlines they didn't request, and that this was no longer just about her. Nevertheless, when one cast member murmured loud enough to be heard, the atmosphere changed. What if Ciara is in possession of something? What if she isn't playing a bluff? Doubt quickly swept the crowd, making those comments more powerful than a punch. Even Yandy's supporters couldn't help but notice the glimmer of interest in their eyes. When Ciara claimed to have receipts, what did she mean specifically? And why did she appear so self-assured while everyone else was crumbling? Almost immediately after the rumors of the altercation surfaced, social media went into overdrive. Within hours, the hashtag became popular, splitting supporters into two fervently devoted factions, H-Team Yandy and K-Team Sierra. Every old video frame was being examined for clues, and previous interviews were being combed for instances where Sierra and Mendeecees exchanged words that now appeared dubious or where Yandy might have fumbled over a question. The internet acted without waiting for verification. With each minute that went by, the story was elevated. But the fight continued inside the room. Some members of the cast pleaded with Sierra to stop, but she persisted despite their harsh remarks. No matter how well she portrayed herself on camera, the truth always managed to surface. She taunted Yandy, insisting that she would not be silenced. She spit out, "You can't hide forever," in a furious voice. "You built this whole perfect wife act, but everybody got skeletons. And when yours finally come out, people are going to see who you really are." Yandy's composure broke. With her voice shaking with rage, she yelled back that she had devoted herself fully to her marriage, that she was sick of people doubting her commitment, and that she had crossed a line that will never be uncrossed by bringing her kids into this. Her remarks were honest and passionate, but they only served to fan the flames because Sierra only shook her head and chuckled, as though she knew more than she was admitting. Even after years of reality TV drama, friends and family who later discussed the incident stated they had never seen Yandy so shaken. Her head had always been held high. This time, however, her voice trailed off, her shoulders drooped, and the agony in her eyes spoke a tale that words could not. Mendeecees, however, found it difficult to maintain control. Whispering to her to maintain her composure, he drew her near. However, he was growing impatient. He wasn't only looking for answers for himself, but in order to put an end to the rumors that were getting out of hand. However, Sierra leaned further into her assertions the more he pressed. She was challenging him to call her bluff with her sneer. Someone's phone alarm sounded just as the shouting surged to its highest volume, a high-pitched noise that sliced like a razor through the cacophony. The tension was so intense that it seemed as though the room's air had been drawn out, and everyone froze for a moment. In that quiet, Sierra cocked her head and murmured, "You don't want me to show what I've got. Trust me." Her tone had become calm and almost mocking. It was more impactful than anything she had ever said. The conviction in her eyes and the weight in her tone were too strong for even those who believed she was bluffing to miss. It wasn't only Yandy defending her marriage either. For the first time, the whole ensemble realized that everything they believed to be true about the relationship could be destroyed if Sierra got proof. Once more, there was a buzz in the room as the actors whispered to her to stop before she went too far. Sierra, however, just folded her arms and waited. Get any wilder, an insider blog revealed yet another shocking revelation, asserting that screenshots of private conversations were saved by Sierra. They claimed that Yandy chats with a male cast member appeared dubious and were full of clues that pointed to a relationship beyond friendship. On social media, the murmurs swiftly became roars. The same questions were being asked by everyone. Was it for real? Or was it just another publicity stunt? The blog maintained that the screenshots weren't fake and that they might totally change the perception of Yandy if they were made public. All of a sudden, things went beyond trivial disputes and on-screen rivalry. This concerned a potential covert affair and a youngster who has the potential to completely alter the love and hip-hop plot. Media outlets wasted no time. Timelines started to overflow with headlines claiming that Yandy's purported secret was about to be revealed. Supporters soon divided into two factions. Yandy is being passionately defended by one side, calling the opposing side said that smoke always indicates fire, while the other side accused it of defamation and clout chasing. Even unbiased fans were drawn into contentious discussions and speculated and examined every hint because of the intense tension on the internet. However, when a little audio recording appeared online, the situation reached a completely new level. The voice was said to have come from the same source, but no one knew where. The rumors mentioned a male cast member. He was heard on the audio stating something ambiguous about not wanting the world to know and that he wanted to keep matters private for the benefit of all parties. Despite being shorter than 20 seconds, the film was sufficient to drive fans into a frenzy. Did everyone finally get the confirmation they were looking for? Or was it just another ingenious alteration designed to cause trouble? Sensing the ideal moment to maintain her attention, Sierra made another suggestion that she had more proof hidden away. Behind the scenes, she said, she was under pressure to remain silent. However, it was clear from her tone that she would not be quiet for long. People who were watching her live chat went crazy, begging her to tell the truth immediately in the comment area. Rather, she informed them that time was crucial and that no one would be able to dispute the complete tale once she revealed it. Rumors that the producers themselves were panicking started to circulate as backstage chit-chat started to seep into the public. No one in charge seemed to know how to handle a crisis this big, which could either kill reputations or send ratings skyrocketing. Production meetings reportedly descended into intense debates about whether to muzzle Sierra or let her to spill the beans on camera for maximum drama, according to some sources. Yandy, meanwhile, remained silent and declined to comment on the circulating accusations. Fans began to question whether she was concealing something, but her silence only served to fan the flames. All of her posts on the internet, whether they were about her family, her job, or simply random inspirational quotations, was inundated with messages requesting clarification. People couldn't help but notice the cracks beginning to develop as the strain surrounding her continued to rise. Even worse, Yandy was photographed leaving a restaurant with the same male cast member by photographers. The timing gave the impression that everything being discussed was confirmed, even though it might have been a harmless supper. The images went viral right away, and the trending charts were dominated by hashtags referring to Yandy's suspected affair. Even many who had previously supported her began to wonder if they had been mistaken. The plot now had all the makings of a reality TV catastrophe. Hidden relationships, a child who might be hidden, betrayal amongst friends, and the possibility that everything could fall apart in front of millions of people. Fans were no longer merely amused. They had a stake. They desired to see every turn of events, every conflict, and every heartfelt admission. They also knew in their hearts that the truth would eventually surface. How assiduously it was buried. The entire group was feeling the heat by the conclusion of that hectic week. In private, alliances started to change subtly. Fearing they might be pulled into the tempest, some of the people who had always supported Yandy began to distance themselves. Others attempted to exploit the situation by contacting bloggers and making vague references to more undiscovered secrets. It had a cascading impact. Everything else was falling apart as soon as the first piece dropped. Sierra made a final startling remark while the rumors were intensifying. The world thinks it's just about drama, but when you find out who's been hiding the truth and why, your entire view of this show will never be the same again, she said, staring straight into the camera during another live session. Her words left fans speechless, and the comments section erupted with people pleading with her to stop prolonging the situation. However, she abruptly stopped the live stream, leaving everyone in search of solutions. The fans turned into online investigators. Forums with discussions examining images, timelines, and mysterious lapses in Yandy's personal life. She was even seen with a man who was allegedly the child's father at a clinic years ago, according to one person. Even though there was no concrete evidence, the details were sufficient to maintain the story and put Yandy in a difficult situation. Sierra's confidence, meanwhile, increased. She arrived in people's lives with a sparkle in her eye, telling riddles that left listeners wanting more. "All I'll say is when the truth comes out, y'all going to look at her differently," she said. Her voice had lost its playfulness. It was planned. She had presented herself as the one who dared to question the untouchable, the whistleblower. And the more she talked, the more attention was drawn to Yandy's every action, expression, and quiet. But there was more tension brewing behind the cacophony. It became apparent to the public that certain cast members were completely avoiding the subject, neither supporting Yandy nor denouncing Sierra. It appeared as though they knew more than they wanted to acknowledge. Their silence gave the narrative a perilous edge. Like a storm block just out of sight, it made the potential of reality feel heavier. The headlines became more daring as the rumors began to circulate outside the fan community and into popular gossip blogs. "Is there a child that Yandy is hiding?" one outlet yelled. However, another asserted that they had firsthand knowledge that the father of the child was a member of the cast. The sheer force of repetition led many to believe it even though no proof was offered. Perception was frequently more important than facts in the realm of controversy. Yandy's manner betrayed her attempt to continue as though nothing had changed. She appeared preoccupied at occasions, smiling too tightly and averting her gaze from the cameras too frequently. "Look at her body language. She's hiding something," was one of the captions that fans posted after noticing and recording those instances. Every motion turned into ammunition. Each pause is evidence of guilt. She couldn't wake up from the nightmare. Nevertheless, she declined to confront it head-on. Sensing vulnerability, Sierra increased her pressure. During one especially contentious live session, she asserted that Yandy had gone too far and that she had seen the child. Measures to conceal the circumstances from the general population. Thousands of people watched, wondering if they were seeing a play or the truth, as gasps filled the comments. Regardless, it worked. Her remarks were widely shared on social media, gossip websites, and even mainstream venues in a matter of hours. The criticism of Yandy grew more intense. Fans flooded her comments with queries she refused to answer, naming her in every post and demanding answers. Sierra was stepping over boundaries that should never be crossed, according to those who supported her. The voices calling for the truth, however, were louder. Yandy's silence felt more like confirmation the longer she remained silent. Verification. Temper tantrums broke out behind closed doors. According to insiders, Yandy was enraged with Sierra and threatened to file a lawsuit, but she refrained from doing so because doing so would require her to publicly confront the allegations. As the ratings goldmine developed, the producers allegedly supported the dispute, allowing the tension to escalate for maximum effect. The charges had grown too serious to ignore, and the formerly solid base of Yandy's reputation was starting to crumble. She struggled to remain calm, but the truth was starting to sink in. The world might finally see the side of Sierra that she had battled so hard to hide if she wasn't stopped. By the time Yandy spoke again, the tension in the room had escalated to a boiling point. She tried to cut through the cacophony around her with a harsh, shaking voice. With a chilly gaze, she turned to face Sierra and declared that she had gone too far. Not only was it messy drama, but it was also an unforgivable treachery to accuse her of having a secret kid with another cast member. The cast watched in disbelief, quiet because this type of charge had gone too far, even for a show that was based on chaos. Some murmured that Yandy's entire reputation would be destroyed if what Sierra stated proved to be accurate. However, Sierra's credibility would be irreparably damaged if it was a falsehood. Everyone understood that no matter how this story turned out, someone's career would not survive the high stakes fallout. In an attempt to defend herself, Yandy claimed that nothing Sierra said could change the fact that the only children she had were the ones that everyone already knew, the family she battled for and reared on TV. Sierra didn't give up though. Instead, she came closer, making eye contact with Yandy, and said that she wasn't making anything up, that the secret was out there, and that there were individuals willing to come forward. It was about to come to the surface after being buried for too long. The room was filled with gasps, and others were immediately pulling out their phones to capture comments because if Sierra was right, this would become viral on social media in a matter of hours. Even those who typically supported Yandy were now discreetly backing off, waiting to see if her supposedly flawless family image would crumble. The vibe had entirely changed. There were rumors circulating concerning the identity of this purported father, and even though Sierra refrained from naming names at that time, the tension was intolerable because of the way she halted and looked about at specific cast members. All of the men in the room suddenly appeared nervous,